Right, hi everyone. This is just a quick reaction video in response to the preview stream that Games Workshop put out tonight that finished at about 8 p.m. British Standard Summertime, British Standard Time, and it was showcasing the new version of the Horus Heresy, or Warhammer 30,000 as it's sometimes known. This will be version 3.0 of the game, and Horus Heresy has always been more of a sort of niche product for Games Workshop. The miniatures have tended to be in fine cast or in resin, expensive, and it's probably a bit more of a complicated rule set. And it's more of you could say it's more of a higher end product. I mean, I've been to Black Library events and Horus Heresy weekends that they used to put on in Nottingham in years gone by. They used to have these beautiful leather bound black books with all the rules in, which I used to own, but I eventually sold because they were quite valuable, and the rules went all out of date, obviously, with the new editions. But they were beautiful products and really nice things to keep on your bookshelf. And it seems that over the last few years, Games Workshop have moved from wanting this to be a sort of niche, high-end product into they've moved the Horus Heresy into one of the three big game systems that they offer, along with Age of Sigmar and of course Warhammer 40,000. And they seem to be trying to make it, at least from a model perspective, more accessible. All of the models seem to be now moving over into plastic and getting new sculpts. And the game itself seems to be on this 3-year release cycle now that Age of Sigmar and 40k are. So it's obviously sort of the third side of this main triangle that Games Workshop is building its business on. The issue with that is that 30k, because of its nature, because of it's a bit more hardcore, it's a bit more niche, as I said. I'm not sure it really fits into the same space that AOS and 40k do. It doesn't seem to attract the same sort of players and collectors. But so I suppose what I'm saying is we're at a time of flux here. We're at a bit of an awkward time where it's moving from one space into another, and that means that the game still has some issues, and I don't think Games Workshop are addressing them quickly enough. I mean, they've made a sort of a good start, but things are getting left behind, and things are changing. Other things are changing in a way which is just sort of exacerbating the issues that they have. And hopefully I'll make myself clear as we go through. But as I say, they dropped the stream tonight. The stream started with once the corporate waffle by them was out the way, and they'd found out where everybody was from, which is very important on these streams. They then showed us a trailer, which I think is now on the official Warhammer YouTube channel. And to be fair, the trailer was excellent. It was really good animation showing sort of the start of the Horus Heresy. It had Constantine Valdor at the Emperor's palace talking to Malcador, worrying about this new turn of events and whether the Civil War was going to rage on forever. And the main bulk of the animation was showing the fighting on the battlefield, showcasing the new models that are in this new starter box that they were revealing tonight. And to be fair, it was a brilliant animation. The animations from Games Workshop seem to have massively improved over the last few years. The last Horus Heresy edition 2.0 was launched with a really good animation of Horus sort of bestriding the battlefield, murdering loads of Imperial fists and ranting. That was excellent. And also the 40k animations have been similarly really good over the last two or three editions, particularly the Indomitus and the Leviathan animations were both brilliant. And I think that the quality of of the animations that Games Workshop are having produced now for them are just increasing and stepping up with each one. So that was really good. So do watch that in your own time. It's well worth a couple of minutes to watch that. But once that was over, they launched into showcasing the actual new starter box, the launch box rather, for this new edition 3.0. And of course, everybody had already seen it because it's been leaked rather, all over the internet for the past few weeks. But they went into it in detail and showed the sprues, etc. So I'd like to just go through and give my thoughts on this new box, whether I think it's worth it. And of course, we don't know how much it's going to be, but Games Workshop prices don't go down; they only go up. And the last box, I can't remember how much it was, but it was well north of £100. So I'm guessing this box is probably going to be £200 direct from GW. So let's go through and we'll see what it contains. The drop site preview, I'm just reading the article now. The drop site preview is finished and the new box set looks incredible. It's time for a detailed look at everything in the Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness Saturnine. And you find out why it's called Saturnine quite quickly by understanding that the Terminators and the Dreadnought that's included in the box are in Saturnine armour, which is, I think, the first example really of Saturnine armour being made by Games Workshop. And this is an armour that has a design that dates back many years in the lore and in artwork, etc. But I don't think, other than maybe a tiny metal miniature that once came out in the 80s, I don't think they've ever made or tried to make Saturnine armour before. So this is something fresh, and it's what they've built the box around. Lifting the lid. Saturnine is absolutely massive, bursting at the seams with everything you need to jump right into collecting and battling in the Age of Darkness. It's the complete package and the perfect setup for newcomers and veterans alike. It's obviously not the complete package at all. You can't really play Horus Heresy without tanks, for example, and there aren't any in this box. But to be fair, it's a really nice starter box. They always paint these boxes up as two opposing forces fighting each other, but what it is in essence is it's one army in a box. So it's a really good start for anybody wanting to get into the Horus Heresy. It includes the rules in a really nice hardback rulebook, 350-page Age of Darkness hardback rulebook, as they say. Having bought many of these books and these type of books in the past, and as I say, the book that came in the box for the second edition of the game, they're really nice. They're well done. They contain a lot of artwork and lore and story and background to the game, as well as the basic rules. So that's a really nice thing to have, and would probably cost you £40-50 on its own anyway. So you are saving money definitely by buying all of these items bundled into the launch box. As well as the hardback rulebook, 50 plastic Citadel miniatures, a construction guide. Okay, so just the instructions for building them, reference sheets, 3 weapon templates, of course, in Horus Heresy, which is different to the other games that Games Workshop make. You have templates to show where weapons fire. Particularly the Flamer template is one that they used to have in 40k, which shows you the exact area that the flame is hitting. And 21 dice, including a scatter dice, which is another thing that sort of exclusive to Horus Heresy. A range ruler, 40 tactical status and objective tokens, and they showed these on the stream. These are plastic tokens. Some of them are objective markers, and others relate to a status that can affect a different unit on the battlefield. So I suppose you just put that token next to it to show that unit is being affected by a certain status. And I think these are new rules to the third edition. So I don't know what they are particularly, but we'll talk about those. And then there was quite a large transfer sheet with all the decals on. 1,172 decals apparently. So that's really good as well. Represents good value on the face of it. Even if the box is £200, you're getting quite a lot for your money in terms of sort of Games Workshop pricing. So let's look at the miniatures themselves. There are enough miniatures in the box to fight your battles in the Age of Darkness, but you may well want to combine them all into one large force. So yeah, and that's what you do. And whereas the second edition box was launched with new scale of Mark 6 armor Marines, this new 3.0 box is focusing around Mark 2, which is called Crusade armor, and you get 40 Marines in the box. And what they've done this time, and probably learnt from the previous box, is that they've actually included some heavy weapons as well, so you can mix and match the loadout. You can build the Marines slightly differently, and I think that those heavy weapons will even fit with the Mark 3, Mark 4 and Mark 6 troops as well. So you can include them across your wider army if you've bought a lot more models than you are actually getting in this box. And here's a picture of some of the Marines painted up like Iron Warriors. Really nice paint job, showcasing them nicely. Really cool sort of Centurion. I think he's a Centurion, don't quote me. My knowledge of Horus Heresy and the rules, etc. are not to the same level as 40k, that's for sure. Although I have read quite a few of the books. So yeah, they all look great, really. I mean, if you were looking for a new rendition of Mark II armor, in the modern game, then these are great. They're done perfectly well. I can't really fault it. The job that GW have done, and these are some of the heavy weapons that are included. I think they're called disintegrator weapons, which may be a new thing to the game, but look great. So fantastic, no problems so far. Here they're talking about these mix of pistols, rifles, blasters, heavy disintegrators, etc. And here again we've got some different paint schemes of various different legions. You also get this Centurion, who is in Mark II power armor also, go away, horrible little fly. Again, brilliant model, really fantastic. Sort of more ornate, more imposing version of a Space Marine. No issues with that. You've got a couple of nice head options, really cool banner. No issues at all. Cool chunky mace there as well. Great. Won't read all of this. You then have this, and this is my first little problem with the box. This Arachne quad accelerator platform, which is just a huge gun platform. I think it's just my view, but I think it's a really odd thing to include in a launch box. Lots of people aren't going to want to use a gun platform in a tabletop game. It's more of a choice rather than a sort of standard thing that everybody's going to want to use. I just think it would have been better to include a vehicle or another dreadnought or something a bit more exciting than this. But your opinion may well differ than mine. And here we have the first reason why it's called the Saturnine box. And these are the Saturnine Terminators, and I spoke about the armor a little earlier there, talking about how it's. Oh, actually, they're gonna talk here about the origin of it. Fans of old school Warhammer will recognise these from the days of yore, the 1980s, an iconic design brought to life in plastic for the very first time. This prototype Terminator armor is seriously heavy duty, carrying weapons a standard suit of Terminator armor would struggle to power, and protected by thermal diffraction fields. This tech requires Marines who demonstrate particular, some might say preternatural, willpower to pilot it. So as I alluded to earlier, this is a very old design, and so Games Workshop must have had quite a job on their hands to modernise it and produce modern, really cool looking miniatures that would not look out of place on the tabletop today, but also remained true to this 1980s aesthetic, which was quite dated and a little odd looking, a little derpy looking. So I think they've done a brilliant job, actually. And also, on the stream, they showed these new Terminators painted up in a variety of different Legion colours. And they actually looked much nicer than the Salamanders, in my opinion. So some of them looked fantastic. So I think they've done a really good job. And here you can see... Here you can see a White Scar. That looks great. Look at that, the Iron Warrior there. Look at him, the Iron Hands. That looks brilliant. So, in my view, yeah, I actually think they've done about as good a job as they could have done with these Terminators. And then, but here we come to the second problem I have with the box, and this really speaks to the problem that Heresy has, one of the problems that Heresy has. And this is the Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armour. I'll just read the blurb here. This Behemoth is a high-ranking Space Marine officer clad in his own suit of experimental Saturnine Terminator armour. It's one of the most formidable units available to the Space Marine legions, and really puts him on a level above anything else. It certainly does, because he's absolutely massive. I mean, this is like a chapter master type level, or captain, or but he's one of the highest sort of ranking Space Marines that you can get in Horus Heresy. But he's the size of a Primarch. He's absolutely massive. And one issue with the Horus Heresy, I think, because they're slowly migrating it over, the scale is all over the place. You've got many of the big characters of the setting and vehicles that are now just tiny, that look way out of place when you put them next to the new scale. And they even showed different comparisons. They had the models there in the studio on the stream. And I mean, they at one point they had the Tartarus Terminators to compare against the Saturnine, and they were just tiny. And they looked small compared to the new Mark II Marines. They looked sort of on a par with them, and they were absolutely dwarfed by the likes of this guy and the new Saturnine Terminators. So it's because they're taking so long to move everything across. It's not fixing the problem of the scale creep, and you have the scale creep in other game systems as well, 40k for example, but they produce so many 40k models that it's becoming less of an issue, because if you do an Emperor's Children army, for example, you will field a whole army that looks like it's of the same scale from the same time. I mean, the Terminators, because they're based on just Chaos Terminators, are only a little bigger than the normal Marines, and Noise Marines are pretty big these days, that sort of thing. But it's acceptable. In the Heresy, this is not acceptable to have a glorified Space Marine captain, which is the size of a fucking tank or something, like the size of a dreadnought. So I think they need to look at this and really get to grips with the fact that they need to get everything on a par, so that it looks like when you buy an army, when you buy all the kits, you have one cohesive force that all looks like it comes from the same game. So that's the big challenge for them. And the other challenge is rules based, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But back to the plus side of the box, the good things about the box. This guy is the star of the show, really, the Saturnine Dreadnought, and I liked this when I first saw it, because whereas the Saturnine Terminator armor runs the risk of looking a little bit weird, a little bit nerdy or derpy, the sort of the shoulder plates here really fit the aesthetic of a massive walking tank that is a dreadnought. And when they showed him fully built, they showed this model fully built on the stream, it looks even better. So, and here he's in quite a static pose, but they showed a variety of I mean, look at that. That's a World Eater's painted up Dreadnought as a World Eater, and it looks absolutely brilliant. I think this is my new favourite model of the Horus Heresy, I have to say. Even better than the Leviathan Dreadnought, which this towers over now. And they even mention here that this is now the biggest Dreadnought, bigger than a Leviathan. So, and then you have all these little accoutrements and game aids here, which we don't really need to talk too much more about. So that's what you get in the box. And let's say the box is 200, or might even be cheap. It might be 180, 190 pounds. That's quite a lot that you get. And overall, apart from a few little quibbles that I've had there, I think it's a pretty good launch box. Having watched the stream, it's made me a lot more positive about the box actually than I was, having just looked at the leaked images, etc. And so then they went through on the stream about other things that are coming, and well, I was quite pleased to see that one of the other things that will be coming around the same time as the box is the massive super heavy tank that is the Fellblade. And this is one of the biggest tanks in Horus Heresy. It's absolutely huge and massively off-putting to buy something like this when it's made out of resin, weighs the same as a family car, and is an absolute nightmare to put together. So the fact that they're continuing to move all these kits across the plastic is brilliant. When 2.0 came out, I bought pretty much all the kits, including all the tanks, the new Predators and Rhinos, and all of the different ones. And the Kratos was the biggest tank that they'd released, and that was fun. It was brilliant to have a kit that big and beefy, but just easy to deal with and light and detailed and just looked fantastic. And this is going to be an even bigger kit now. It looks brilliant. I cannot fault anything about this. It's just a great model, and it'll be a great kit. But I just think it's slightly too little too late, in a sense that they should have released all of this and things like the other major and heavy tanks. What's the one? I'm blanking on the name now. The big transport. Oh God, it's not a Mammoth. It's it will come to me. But there's a huge transport in Horus Heresy, and I think they should have done all of them at that time. I mean, I know they did a lot, but we should have already had these like key and iconic models from the range, such as the Fellblade, the what's the other one called, the Glaive, these are kits that are mainstays of the range, and they really should have done all this before, so that now 3 years later, when they're releasing 3.0, they could have just focused on tying up all the loose ends that they've left themselves with, rather than slightly making them worse by producing even bigger characters. But anyway, it is what it is. It's a fantastic kit, and I'll probably be buying one of those, I would think, because it's just so cool. They also announced some other models that will be coming up. This is another gun emplacement thing, the Tarantula Sentry gun. I'm not really into these type of models, but I mean, it's good that it's there if people want to use it, and of course a range of options. And then lastly, they previewed this new tank. What is it called now? Because I cannot remember. It'll come to me in a minute, but you have lots of different versions of this as well. Again, really cool. I really like them. Looks like it's just based on, I mean, it might be a Rhino, but it looks even smaller than a Rhino, the chassis. And these are great. And again, in plastic, really good. The Rapier. So it says the Rapier is similar, providing Legion forces with a mobile heavy weapon or light artillery support. There are 2 new plastic kits on the way, one with the graviton or quad bolt option, and one with a quad launcher or laser destroyer. Okay, so these are 2 separate kits. So you can either have this one that builds one of these or one of these, and then the second kit builds either that or that. I think they all look great, so probably get a couple of kits of those maybe. And then coming further down the line are a couple of crews that come with, sort of go with that small rapier tank. And then even further down the line, we have sort of jump pack troops and breaches, which is something that I think the Horus Heresy community has been crying out for a long time. And then they sort of teased us pointlessly with these images that, you know, don't really do much for anybody, I don't think. So that was what they announced and released, and then they started to talk about some of the rules as well, and some of the rule books that will be coming out. Hopefully this is the right link. That's not really showing me much, is it? Discover the rules. Now here, just briefly, I think is what the second major issue that the Horus Heresy has. So apart from a range that is a real mishmash of resin and different scales from over the years, and is a bit hard to sort of get to grips with for the average gamer, the rules are not helpful either. And I understand, and a lot of Horus Heresy players will probably disagree with me, that they need to be changed. And it's not that the rule set shouldn't be complex and deep and intricate, but the rules need to be simplified to a point where somebody can come off the street and just go into a store or pick up a book and learn the rules pretty quickly. And I'm no expert on the rules of Horus Heresy, although I think they are quite similar to 7th edition 40k, which I played quite a bit of near the end of the edition. And on the stream, they started to talk about, they showed off I won't go into all this, but they showed off some of the new rules. Like, so here are the statuses that the objective, that the markers you get in the box relate to. So a unit can be pinned or suppressed or stunned or routed. So they talked about that. Then they talked about the new data sheet that you get. And I mean, look at the amount of different attributes that just a Space Marine has here. So you got the movement, the weapon skill, ballistic skill, strength, toughness. What is that? Willpower? No, that can't be willpower because that's willpower. So whatever wounds. It's the wounds. It's like the health, which Games Workshop call wound for some obscure reason. Initiative, attacks. Then you've got leadership, cool, willpower, intelligence, saving throw, invulnerable throw. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with and a lot to get to grips with. And this is just a data sheet for one unit. And look, I haven't played the game, obviously, it's not out yet. But I probably won't play the game, in all honesty, because I don't have the inclination to really get to grips with learning so much information about, I mean, again, and then you have the weapons profiles with, okay, range, armor penetration, damage, etc. But all these different attributes, different characteristics that you have to keep in mind is just making a game. I think it's complicating a game in an unnecessary way. You can have lots of variation, lots of tactical or strategic intricacy in a game, and make it difficult to master, difficult to really get good at, without just confusing it and obfuscating everything with dozens and dozens of attributes and different characteristics that you need to keep in mind at all times. So, look, time will tell. I'll keep an eye on the internet, see what people are saying about the new edition when it comes out, whether they like it or not. But I suspect that, my suspicion is that existing Heresy players are not going to like this because it's a change. And it doesn't seem like it's a change. I can't really see the point of this change. What is it achieving? I don't really know. And then sort of 40k players or Age of Sigmar players and other tabletop gamers are just not going to want to step into a game that is this convoluted and this sort of intricate. So anyway, we will see. I'm prejudging a bit here, but that's my suspicion anyway. So overall, I should just say before I sum up that they did preview some of the rule books that are coming, and they're nice. They're not. I don't know whether they've. Here we go. Actually, it's on this page. So they've previewed these Liber Hereticus, Liber Astartes, which are additional rule books sort of supplements for your particular army. Now, again, thick, hardback, really nice books, but again, expensive. So it's another slight barrier to people who want to get into this hobby. So with the intricate rules, the amount of money you're going to have to spend, the sheer depth of the rules as well, and the sort of sprawling range of different scales and materials, I don't think this launch is going to be as successful. I don't think it'll be as successful as the 2.0 launch. And I don't think it's going to see a big uptick in people playing Horus Heresy. And I don't think there's enough here to really entice people in. I mean, when 2.0 was released, you had jet bikes, you had new versions of all fantastic tanks, Cerberus, Typhon, Spartan assault tank. There was a lot to draw people in. Here it's lesser. You've got gun emplacements, a new dreadnought, which is cool, this and that. But I just don't think it's going to have the same impact, and I don't think that 3.0 is going to be the shot in the arm that I think Heresy needs. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm not even sure whether I'll buy this box because, as I say, I'm not going to play the game. It is good value. I really like some of the models. I particularly like the Dreadnought, and the Mark II troops are useful. The Terminators are okay. The gun emplacement and I don't like, and the Praetor looks ridiculous because of his size. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But so a bit of a mixed response from me on that one. But let me know your thoughts. If you're a Heresy player, I'd really like to know what you think about this. Are you excited? Are you thinking this is going to boost uptake in the game and the popularity of Heresy in general, or is this not what you wanted to see? Let me know if you watch this video. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.